G'day folks, it's Cortezerino, and today we are doing the tour of my Japanese farming village. And it's a little bit hard to know where to start because this is a very big village. I just cleared out a big island in the middle of these trees and decided I was going to fill the entire thing in. And yeah, it took a while, but I finally did it. And just for a little bit of trivia, this world is actually a world I've done a whole bunch of other Japanese builds in. If we fly over this hill somewhere, there it is coming into view. There's my Osaka castle. There's the village from my Japanese village transformation. And I've also got my courtyard base over here. So this is in the same world. And all these, this section here is available for free. If you go to one of the videos that I did these in, you can get the world download. But all the new world downloads are just available for my patrons. So if you're interested, you can join up for a month and grab all the world downloads you want. So because we've got so much to cover, I think for this tour I will probably do it in the same order that I built everything, because all these houses have interiors, so it's going to be nice to have a little walk around. But before we go into them, we should mention probably the biggest thing in the village, the thing that takes up the most area, is the rice fields. Now, I've done rice fields in lots of different ways before, but this was one of the reasons I built this in 1.17. I had the idea to use the small drip leaves, and I think they look really nice. And it's not the only kind of farm here. I didn't want to fill the entire thing up with the drip leaves. I think they look good, but if the entire area was made of them, it would start to look a little bit weird. So we've also used this design over here where I've just got little bits of water in between beetroot, and they look like either a variation of rice fields or vegetable gardens. And yeah, I've thrown in a little bit of wheat. That's not that interesting. But over here is another design for a harvested field where we've just got little stacks of hay. And the, what is it called? The dripstone block? Yeah, the dripstone block looks really good in there with the coarse dirt and the brown concrete powder. But let's quickly jump into a creative world and I will show you some of the designs I went through. So this is the world where I was coming up with all the little ideas for what we were going to build in the village. And over here is where I was experimenting with different ideas for the fields. And I wasn't happy with any of them at all, and then 1.17 came along and we got the small drip leaves and I never looked back. And it's also interesting for these houses with the 1.17 update, I decided to use the cobbled, what are they called? The cobbled deep slate slabs on the roof. Before I'd planned to use them, I was using andesite, and I think the new blocks look much better. And the reason I needed slabs is because these houses are Gassho houses. Gassho means praying hands, and the shape of the roof kind of looks like two praying hands coming together. And the shape of the roof is also, just the incline of the roof makes an equilateral triangle. So to get that shape, I needed to have a 1.5 block incline on the side, and the acacia wood kind of looks the most like a straw roof that's pretty old and it's started to sort of fade out. So we've got, the acacia and then the half slab, and then you get a 1.5 block of acacia right there. But let's go into the first house. So as we come in the front door, we've got a little washing up area here and the stairs up to the next level. And there's not a lot of room on the inside to do stuff, so we've just got a little table here. I've got hidden lighting under the carpet. And then over here we've got a big cooking area, so we've got a fire pit in the floor. All these houses had big fire pits. And I've put banners on the side of the cauldron just to sort of look like legs holding the cauldron up above the fire. And another interesting thing these houses had was they'd let the smoke go up to the higher levels. And that gets the smoke out of your face, but it also protects the wood of the house. It keeps all the bugs from eating away at the wood. And yeah, it just makes the house longer. So that just flows up to all the levels above. And these houses used to have lots of levels because the level downstairs was your living and cooking area. But all the floors above were working areas because they would they'd grow silkworms up in these levels. And I looked at a bunch of pictures. It's a bit hard to get good pictures of what they were doing, but it kind of looked like these scaffolding tables, and the silkworms would be growing in little mesh sort of things that look like that. Anyway, that's the best I could find out from the photos. So we just have a bunch of levels up the top here for silkworms. And these Gassho houses always had these nice stone foundations. So all around each of these houses, I've put all the stone in. I think it looks nice. You might recognize this little bit here with the wagon. I did a chunk build tutorial for a farmland path. So when I was throwing my village together, I basically went to my tutorial and built it right there, and it just helped speed things up. I didn't have to invent decorations for every little bit of this village. So I think the next thing I did was I came around here, I built a few nice trees. I've got tutorials for my Sakura trees. They're not block by block tutorials, they just show you how I go about building them. We've got a nice little pond here using my lily pad design that I absolutely love. And then we've got our little water reeds around them. It always looks cool. And then right up the back here, we've got a nice little water wheel. I took this idea from a picture of one of these Gassho house villages. They had a nice little one like this, and the water coming in on a little raised aqueduct like that. There's not much on the inside of this. It's just a small little decorative build. And this is one of my favourite parts of the village. We've got the water mill, the nice pond, a lovely Sakura tree, a little garden out the front. I think, yeah, that is my favourite view of the entire village. So then we can come on to the next house here, and I think this was probably the first one I designed. So let's go on the inside. So we've got a little praying area right here. Once again, hidden lighting underneath the little carpet to sit on. And here we've got a nice big fire pit with the cauldron hanging down from the ceiling. And once again, we've got the trapdoors there so the smoke can go all the way up. And we've got a little table here. I wonder what's in this room. I can't remember all the designs. Okay, we've got a little bedroom in there. And up the front here, this is something they used to do in the houses. They would actually have animals in them as well, like up one end. So I think this is the only house that I've put the animals in, but yep, there he is, the cow. And a little kitchen washing up area. This is really cool. This, what is it called? The deep slate brick goes really nicely with dark oak wood for some reason. I love putting those together. But anyway, let's head upstairs. And once again, this is all for our silkworms. So we've got lots of little tables. And in a lot of these houses, I have put grindstones as little spinning wheels for spinning all the silk onto. And of course, we've got looms as well, and a little bit of string or a cobweb in the item frame there. And the candles make lovely decorations. And of course, we can come up to another level, and we've got more area for silkworms. And you might have noticed that these houses in that creative world don't look nearly as nice because it's all the greenery that you put around the houses that make it look so much better. So that's really important when you make your own village, guys. Make sure you've got lots of trees and bushes all over the place. Like I got a big custom tree over here. And then underneath in the dark area, I've just surrounded it with bushes. Lots of flowers and lots of hidden lighting underneath the moss. And we've got little touches like stairs made of campfires. But anyway, let's go into the next house. This one is a little bit smaller than the others. And you can see I've tried to mix up the designs of all of these so it's not just the same thing repeated over and over again. Even though the real life houses have very similar roofs, I've tried to do it with a slightly different design every single time. Anyway, let's go to the inside. You can see here, it's another way I like to hide lighting. I've got dark oak trapdoors right there with sea lanterns underneath. Once again, mixing in these bricks with the dark oak. I think it looks nice. So we've got a little washing up kitchen area there. This is a tiny little bedroom. And then we can come into the main cooking area here. So we've got a nice big table for people to sit on. This time, rather than a cauldron, I've got a teapot hanging from a chain over the fire, and that's just a wither skeleton skull, but the Japanese teapots look like little black things like that. Alright, and once again, little vents for the smoke to get up, and this will be pretty much the same as the others, just places for growing our silkworms, breeding them up. So for a lot of these houses, because I knew it was going to be a time-lapse and you wouldn't be able to see everything I was building on the inside, for the upper levels I tended to do a lot of quick repetition. And if you're interested in building these houses yourselves, on the inside I've gone for a few different materials just to brighten the place up, like the floors of the living area. I'm just using stripped oak logs and stripped birch logs, just 2 logs at a time in different directions, and just making nice little patterns on the floor. And then for a lot of the walls I'm using the brown mushroom blocks with composters down the bottom, just to mix things up a little bit. But let's have a look around here. So yep, another sakura tree with flowers underneath. I did a few more of these little garden beds around the sides, just making sure to change the direction of the plants every now and then to make it look nicer. Although you will notice for the rice fields, I've always got the plants facing in the same direction, the lines of the plants, because that is a little bit more realistic, because you want them catching the light all day long. And this one here is not really a Gassho house, it is just a barn. So you can see here it's a slightly different design. We've got lots of hay in there, and on the inside here it is all storage. I like this nice high ceiling, but you can walk around here up to the next level, and yeah, we've just got more hay up here and more hidden lighting behind trapdoors. And once again, remember, if you're building your own village, make sure to surround your houses with lots of flowers and bushes and just little decorations. It really makes the village come to life. So after building that house, I started on my first rice fields here. And one thing you might not have noticed is I've done little borders around each of these little ponds here. So I've done the borders with the moss block, and I've thrown in a bit of green carpet there as well. And then on the ones that are on flat ground, I've used the little moss carpets. So just to border our fields a little bit and make them look a little bit nicer. And then in some other areas, I've built the walls up with stone. So yeah, you can see around here, just using cobblestone and mossy cobblestone, and putting the carpet over the top. So we've got a stone wall just holding back our water. But anyway, let's move on to the next house over here. And I quite like the exterior of this house. It's got its own little pond out the front. The paths go all the way around. We've got these fields out here with our hay stacked up as well. And then we've got a nice little garden shed out the back, and I quite like this one. Super simple design, but yeah, it looks really, really nice on the inside. I don't think there's a lot in here. No, it's just a few shelves and things like that for putting all your garden supplies. But anyway, let's head into the house. I've even used the little hanging glowberry thing there. But let's see, we'll go in the back door and straight into the living area. So we've got a nice little table here, a few plants. I quite like the interior for this one, bit of shelving. We've got a side door there so we can get out. And this one also has a big cauldron hanging over the fire pit. Should be a bedroom up the front here, and a tiny washing area, and this is where we've got our staircase. So up the top here, I got tired of putting heaps of different levels, like 2 or 3 levels up the top. So even though the other ones are more authentic, it's got a few floors here, I decided just for a bit of better decoration, I let this one have a nice high ceiling and made this one a bit of a storeroom. And moving on from this house, we will go to the final one. And even though in the village, this house over here is the biggest and grandest, if we do a tutorial, I think it might be for this one. It's got a little more into the designs. We've got a side door on this one. We've got a window up the top. And then we've also got a little room extending to the side. It's just a little bit more complicated than the other houses. But let's go to the interior, see what we have in here. And yes, this one looks a whole lot nicer. See, I wasn't trying to be super authentic here. I just decided I just want to make this house look pretty. So we've got a huge, big open room here. So we've got a few pictures on the sides, a little praying area over here. Table and chairs, that's just a little pole holding up the roof because it is a big room. And we've got our big cauldron hanging from the ceiling here with the vents for the smoke. Yeah, it's quite nice, this one. And up the back, that is just a little bedroom and then washing up room. And we can go up to the next level. And yeah, I've made this one nice and open as well. And this time, rather than having just the scaffolding tables for our silkworms, these ones are hanging from chains in the roof, and we've got a few levels. I think they might have done them like this, who knows. Half of this stuff I just invent. So I will do a tutorial for at least one of these houses. So if you have a favourite house, like it might be this one, might be one of the others, could be the nice big one over there, just let me know, and whichever one people want to see the most, I will do a tutorial for. But anyway, guys, I think pretty much everything else you would have been able to see in the time-lapse. So, yeah, it's just a nice, great big green village, and I hope you like it. Thanks for watching the tour, guys, and I will see you later.